the mysterious death of a woman in northeast Kansas. She was murdered in the late 80s, and investigators now face the challenge of not only finding her killer, but also finding out who she is. Now, I've been investigating this case for months, tracking down the man who found that woman's body.
You could smell a dead animal in the area, you know, when a cow or something dies. Of course, never thought anything about it, just dead critter.
Jeff Colley was preparing for another hunting trip just north of I-70 in Dickinson County back in October of 1987 when he stumbled upon a murder scene.
Just happened to be at the right spot at the wrong time, apparently, and seen the body laying there, which at the time it was just bones and clothing is what it was.
32 years later, standing yards away from that same spot, he's still struggling to understand.
It was strange finding it. I mean, it's just something you don't expect.
Right.
You know, it's out in here, little town Kansas, something really out of the ordinary.
It wasn't only out of the ordinary, but a true mystery. A woman shot and killed. But who was she? After pressing for a closer look at what happened, the Dickinson County Sheriff's Office released these images of the scene to me. Clues have taken detectives across the country. We know that a plastic bag was found near her body. It traces back to a grocery store in Bakersfield, California. For years, the only evidence police would share with the public was this, the maroon t-shirt she was wearing. It reads, "Astronaut Cross Country. We believe in state championships 1980. It's from a high school in Titusville, Florida. Police from that area tell me no missing people match her description. I've even worked with the high school from the t-shirt, getting the cross-country team roster and going through members one by one. Nobody knows Jane Doe. She's a black woman, believed to have been in her 40s or 50s, 5'2" to 5'5". She was wearing Sugar Baby's tennis shoes and jalapeno denim jeans. Brands that I found were likely sold at department stores.
We've gotten some tips over the years on possible matches. We followed up on them and they all kind of led to a dead end, so we really haven't had any luck in identifying her.
Captain Jerry Davis taking me back to where she was found. Though it's a field of crops now, back then it was a popular place to hunt, but a place you would likely only go to if you knew it well. For someone to come out here, you think they might be a little bit more familiar with the area, maybe?
They could be. I mean, it could be somebody just happened off the interstate and drove some winding roads back to get up in here.
It's not something that you would think somebody from I-70 would just haul somebody up here, because this area is just kind of off the beaten path, really.
Do you think with all the time that's passed, there's any hope of figuring out who this Jane Doe is?
Oh yeah, I don't give up hope. There's always a possibility.
Possibility to getting closer to finally learning her name and finding her killer.
Well, I think it's a valiant effort on their part to do it, you know, to try to get all the pieces put together to, you know, figure out who she was, where she lived, you know. She belonged somebody somewhere,
yeah.
You know, and I'm sure they're probably wondering what happened.
So when I reached out to investigators this April, they told me, we have this one picture. That's all we have. That's all we can give you. And I was like, are you sure? Is there more that you can release to me? And eventually they phased in those photographs that we shared right there. We have all of them up on cake.com right now. They have told me to not share all the information that we exchanged in our conversations over the past months because they're thinking that some of that information may help convict her killer should they find out who that person is, but they have to, of course, find out who she is. But in the meantime, they have had some tips. We've had tips actually come since we first shared this story with you. And I'm going to be following up with the county to see if we can help figure out this mystery and find this woman's family. But Jane Doe's body is buried at the Abilene Cemetery. The county attorney is raising money to get a headstone for her and another unidentified person, a man who was also killed in the county. Separate case about a decade before. You can see details on everything right there on cake.com. You know, we've shared hundreds of stories here at Cake News. It's really been a big year for Cake's Missing in Kansas series. And this morning, I highlight how the community has helped families across the state. And we also take a look at what's next. 100 stories and counting. That's how many we've shared since starting our investigative series, Missing in Kansas, looking at children and adults who have vanished.
Disheartening and frustrating by the fact, I want to be honest, my son was a heroin addict. Mm-hmm. And as a mom, that hurts anyways, when you find out that they're doing all of those things.
Zachary Anderson was last seen nearly 3 years ago. Though his mom, Mary, does not believe he's alive, she is grateful for the community with giving her son a voice. Zach has a criminal past. Like families of other missing adults, she feels like his case has been swept under the rug.
We went all these months without nobody looking for him. Right. And not telling us that they weren't looking for him. And I'm not gonna lie, we were angry. I'm angry at a lot of things, I'm upset because of the choices that he's made. I'm upset with nobody really telling us what to do and how to help.
Now his story is getting more exposure thanks to the Kansas Bureau of Investigation's new Missing Persons Database, which shows missing children and adults, their cases in real time.
My child has not been missing. He's at home, and it's made a mockery in school.
Yet the database is not perfect. We've discovered some cases are old. We found one child's name was listed months after being found. One on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children had been up for years after the girl was located.
I help get those cases corrected on those servers, and every day I update one of my own. I've created this missing persons database where I put together information on the different people that we've shared, details about their disappearance, anything that can help with their case and find out what exactly happened. And thanks to Missing in Kansas, law enforcement agencies say that they are definitely seeing results.
I've talked to multiple occasions, and that to parents, and they're like, yeah, we saw the picture on TV, or, I saw this person on the news and stuff, and I know that that's your report that they're seeing it off of, so I think that's a huge help.
John Biagini has been in law enforcement for 20 years, working as a school resource officer and now with the Exploited and Missing Child Unit. He helps find runaway youth in Sedgwick County. He says in regard to missing people, every minute counts. With the help of social media, people recently were able to find a runaway fast.
Somebody called and said, oh yeah, hey, he's here. He's sitting in a booth eating an ice cream cone, and boom, that was it. Literally 10 minutes after we had contacted Charlie, and it was put out over social media.
Does that surprise you, that kind of response?
Yeah, well, it does. Yeah. It does. But, it's a good surprise. Yeah. I mean, because you're adding more sets of eyes, because everybody's looking at their phones. Everybody checks Facebook, and for it to pop up and see, oh, hey, that's the kid that's sitting right there. Yeah, maybe I better call. So, and if we didn't have that information, we'd go several more hours looking for these kids.
And that time, those hours, it can make a huge difference. Now, overall, about 1/4 of our cases that we've shared here at Missing in Kansas, they've been closed, with most of those people being found safe. So that's the good news. We are continuing to develop more features on our website to help families of those missing people. You can see those unsolved cases and also those developments that we're going to share on cake.com/missing. But in addition to making the online experience a bit better, we are working on partnerships with nonprofits and other law enforcement agencies. We do have some big plans in the works. I cannot wait to share them with you.
We keep hoping for that tip that will get us to where we can find Adam's remains and we can get justice.
The Butler County Sheriff vowing to close a cold case of a boy missing for more than 20 years. That story has gained attention from across the country. Adam Herrmann was 11 years old when he was last seen back in 1999, but investigators never learned of his disappearance until almost 10 years later. I've traveled across the country speaking to Adam's family and the sheriff, who believe the boy died at the hands of his adoptive parents.
It's totally got me jaded. I feel like the system failed my whole family. Used to be a really trusting individual, and now I'm very sketchy
To this day, Tiffany Broadfoot is still baffled by how the story unfolded. It was 2008 when she learned her younger brother had disappeared. The problem? He was last seen nearly 10 years before. Adam Herrmann, born Irvin Greninger III, was adopted at a young age. According to police reports, he and his siblings were taken from an abusive home, only to face more alleged abuse.
Something's not right here. But it was kind of a hidden secret, I guess, of that family. And it went on for years until I believe he finally died or was starved to death or was killed.
Sheriff Kelly Herzit says the case is challenging, including a lack of answers from Doug and Valerie Herrmann. They were never charged for abuse or in Adam's disappearance, but they were found guilty of felony theft. They collected at least $15,000 in state assistance checks that were meant for Adam, money they collected after he vanished. The parents moved away from Derby to a mobile home park in Towanda. They supposedly removed Adam from public school, and the state confirms Valerie registered to do homeschooling. By the next spring, the Herrmanns claim 11-year-old Adam ran away from home. They said he ran often and never reported it to police in fear that they'd lose their kids. At the same time, they told their children Adam was taken by the state.
It really blows my mind how does that even happen? How does somebody go missing for that many years? Unless the person is just a really, really good liar.
I just keep hanging on to the hope that he is alive and well out there.
Years ago, we spoke to the Herrmann's daughter, Crystal, who told us she was trying to organize a family reunion. She contacted SRS, and they told her Adam was still with her parents. She knew that was not true, and that prompted the missing persons case.
An investigation started not long after, with detectives coming out here to this property to search inside of that home, looking at computers, pictures, anything they could to find little Adam. As they searched that property in Kansas, nearly 600 miles away over here in Indiana, is where Adam's biological dad lives, and he gets a phone call. He hears from police, and then he realizes the heart-wrenching news that his son is missing, or maybe worse.
It's the not knowing that kills you. I mean, I have my beliefs of what happened.
Irvin Greninger wants to one day find out what happened to his kid. He fought for custody since Adam was a toddler, but once he was in foster care, there was no hope. He wants his boy to be with family in Indiana, where Irvin says he should have been from the start.
If all we find is a sack of bones, I want to bring him here and bury him here. It's murder, waking up every morning, seeing his picture beside my bed. The last picture I ever had of him. So I'd love to know what happened.
And here's a look at Adam around age 11. He has several scars on his stomach and a half-inch birthmark on his lower back. Advocates with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, they created this composite of what he may look like now at 32 years old. That's the picture on the right. Now, Adam's adopted dad, Doug, he passed away a few years ago. Now, I've reached out to the family, Valerie Herrmann, and other members of the family, as well as the family's attorney and the Butler County District Attorney. They have not responded back for comment, but you can see a more detailed look at Adam's case file at our story on cake.com/missing.
And what happened to Megan Foglesong?
But he threatened to put her in a straitjacket and throw her in the closet. He threatened to kill her, and he's had a gun pointed at her before.
The burning question 4 years later, and the fears she might never be found. Cake News at 10 starts right now.
A friend of that missing Rice County woman is now speaking out about the case. Good evening, I'm Deb Ferris.
And I'm Craig DeGrelli. The suspect in the disappearance of Megan Foglesong is now dead. And there's new evidence that he is the only one who knew where she is. Cake's Annette Lawless with tonight's Missing in Kansas.
Spartan County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
David Madden took his girlfriend against her will from my house, and we're headed to Alden.
Kelly Starnes describing the terrifying moment.
Next thing I know, she's screaming for help, and they're doing 100 miles down the road, and he's got a hold of her through the window, and she's outside the pickup.
Calling 911, his friend Megan Foglesong violently taken from his home.
But he threatened to put her in a straitjacket and throw her in the closet. He threatened to kill her, and he's had a gun pointed at her before.
Megan was supposedly trying to leave her boyfriend, the man behind the wheel, David Madden. This is one of the first signs of things possibly turning violent in their relationship. When law enforcement caught up with them, we're told that she said she was okay. The abduction case dismissed.
I feel really let down by the system. Law enforcement isn't for help protect and serve anymore. It's not about that at all.
The county releasing these documents to Cake News showing more than 20 incidents at Madden's home in Alden. Arrests, theft and harassment cases, and missing persons checks, likely for Megan. She vanished in late 2015, a year after that call was made to 911. I've asked the Rice County Sheriff for details on this case, but he's refused to share more. Other agencies say they're familiar with Madden, with some fearing of what could happen.
Now, I did get a chance to speak with the Abilene police chief on the phone, and he tells me he cannot comment on an active investigation, but he did share an officer's report that he put out in June of 2016. This is months after Megan disappeared. In it, the concern is officer safety. He talks about an experience with David Madden. It should be noted, Madden is a person of interest in the disappearance of Megan Foglesong. It is my concern Madden is paranoid and possibly preparing himself for a confrontation with LEO if he is charged in the disappearance.
And that confrontation came this April. Madden shooting at the Rice County Sheriff and Undersheriff. The hours-long standoff ends with the 37-year-old shooting and killing his dad, then taking his own life.
He was an evil person. At the end, especially. Anybody that killed her dad, man.
What are your thoughts from here on out? Do you think they'll ever find Megan?
I really don't. There's so many places down here in Quivira that they're 13-inch cased wells that are unmarked. And he knew Quivira like the back of his hand. They failed miserably on this case. I mean, miserably.
That was Cake's Annette Lawless reporting. Megan Foglesong would be 25 years old. She's 5'4", 150 pounds with sandy blonde hair and green eyes. She has various tattoos. If you have any information, call police.
A new warning for parents tonight about the dangers of our kids being online.
This fall, the FBI has been putting up posters in school to help prevent kids from falling into what's called a sextortion trap. Cake's Annette Lawless has the story tonight.
From their games to watching videos, kids are spending more time now than ever on their devices. But that screen time can come with risks.
Any child can be a victim of this crime, whether they're on the honor roll, whether they're a star athlete, boys or girls. But we have to encourage them to make smart decisions when they're online.
The FBI warning about the trend of sextortion. So what exactly is it? Here's an example. An adult tries to coerce a child into taking a sexually explicit photo or performing a sex act on a webcam. Then that adult threatens to send the image to the kid's school, friends, or even parents. But just how bad is this trend? Between October 2013 and April 2016, there were 1,428 reports of sextortion of minors made to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children tip line. A majority of the cases, 78% of them, involved girls. They were anywhere from 8 to 17 years old.
In many cases, these kids feel trapped. They continue to send those nude photographs. They'll even exchange sexual favors, pay some money. That's just to keep these images from going public. The FBI encouraging parents to have conversations and also to set limits with your kids. Make sure you tell them to be selective with who they speak to and also what information they share online.
So it's really important to have your guard up, to know that if someone who's contacting you saying that there's something, there's a good chance they might not be. They're looking to get access to you, they're looking to talk to you, and they're trying to encourage you to produce imagery so they can use that imagery to coerce you to produce more.
Annette Lawless reporting. If you are a victim or know of criminal activity like this happening online, you can report the sex crime. Send a tip to the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI or to tips.fbi.gov.
In a special Missing in Kansas investigation, victims of sex trafficking, they are all around us in plain sight. Now, we often talk about runaways on our daily Missing in Kansas reports. Research shows that 1 in 7 endangered runaways are likely to fall into the hands of traffickers. This morning, I show you how to spot a trafficking victim and new changes to crack down on abuse.
My son and I were driving through Oklahoma City, had the radio on, and the guy comes on the radio, "Hey, anybody want any underage girls?"
Those girls among nearly 5 million people forced into sexual exploitation around the world. And Kansas is a hot spot.
This is getting worse, and it's not stopping, and we don't know. And they're transferred, and they go across country in trucks. They put them on buses and meet somebody at the other end. You need to be that way.
Stephen Kendall has seen it all. A trucker for 25 years, he now trains drivers to get their commercial license.
911. A couple of girls that picked up 167 trying to do business out here.
One of the newest requirements, watching this video and taking a test on spotting human trafficking. Wichita is ranked as the 5th top city for where human trafficking gets its start. Since police started the Broadway Corridor team almost 2 years ago, they've conducted 16 stings, leading to more than 120 arrests. Still, trouble persists across the state.
I-35, I-135, and I-70 all crossing. We are the central hub across the United States.
Trooper Chad Crittenden says easy highway access helps fuel the crime. While the KHP is trained to handle it, they welcome programs like Truckers Against Trafficking. It's working. More than 1,100 victims have been identified across the U.S. thanks to these extra eyes on the road.
I think it has to stop, and I think it's going to take us drivers stopping.
I am a trucker against trafficking. My name is Andre, and I'm a trucker against trafficking.
And I am a trucker against trafficking.
It's really important to have that effort here in our community to combat human trafficking. But what happens once people are rescued from that life? This morning we had Pat Jones with the Raise My Head Foundation to share more about, we have such a good program with Raise My Head of supporting those survivors of trafficking. And we're so anxious to have you here to share a little bit more and about an event that we all can go and be a part of too.
Right. Raise My Head, we're the only one of our kind in Kansas. We currently have 4 women in our program and looking to expand. The need is much greater than we have capacity for right now. I'm sure everyone knows that. But we're working on expanding and helping more women in our community. We do have an event coming up on May 14th at Bode Venue. And one of our keynote speakers is going to be Carol Wilson, who was shown in some of the videos that you've shown this morning. And she's our last year's award winner and a survivor of sex trafficking. And she has an amazing story to tell. So we'd like for people to come, support our award winners that night, and these are a scholarship program for women who, to help them further their educational opportunities, women who have come from abusive situations, sex trafficking, and are trying to move ahead and be successful.
And they are doing that. I mean, like we shared earlier in the week and even this morning, some of those survivors, a part of this home here in our community, and they're making this beauty brand, beauty products here. It's really neat to see that, including Carol, April, it's just Jessica as well, going and making everything as they have. It's just it's symbolic. It's really neat to see, and it's just, such hard work too for them. Oh my goodness.
They're very proud of that, and I'm very proud of them as well. They just work really hard at this. They earn a paycheck for this. They learn some business skills, and it helps to sustain our programs. So.
I think it's pretty neat to see, and they're all so kind and so open, and it was just so nice for them to be able to share their stories with us. We really appreciate that. But what does that mean to you to give these women, a direction in their life that maybe they weren't expecting? I mean, for Carol and for April, that includes furthering their education. I know that was so important to them. Well, and Jessica too.
It is so, I get so much more out of this because it's just great to see them learn these skills to accomplish the next thing and the next thing, and be prepared for when they leave the program and they're on their own.
So the women, like we featured in the story earlier in the week, they make these handcrafted beauty products. They found the recipes, they make them, they create the scents, everything. It's really neat to see. If you want to go and support them, certainly you can head over to the website, and we have all the details on our website too, on cake.com/missing. But if you want to support them beyond buying the beauty products, there's the Sunflower Sisterhood Awards, 6 o'clock at night on Tuesday, May 14th, the Boat Venue, 1330 East Douglas Avenue in Wichita. Tickets, and again, ordering the products, everything you need to know, you can go over to raisemyhead.org. It's so neat to see. I just love their stories, and they just seem to just have just this light within them that was just so beautiful.
They do.
I'm like, that is just incredible.
They do. It's again, it's just my pleasure to see them do well.
And they're going to keep doing well. Perfect. Yeah. Well, coming up here on Good Morning Kansas, some more positivity in our community. Coming up next in just a matter of minutes, we're going to be talking about giving back today. Up to 1,000 people in Wichita this weekend hoping to make a positive change. We'll give you the scoop on how you can join in on the action coming up.
Yeah, Mother Nature is going to give us back the sunshine here in the next couple of hours. But until then, we have a dense fog advisory in effect until 10 o'clock this morning for all the counties shaded in gray. We're looking better this afternoon before storms roll into the west tonight. We're going to detail what to expect in the next half hour.